We are live. Hello, critical thinkers. Hope all is well. Salutations. Hopefully, everyone is doing great on this Sunday night. I know I am. I'm very grateful and blessed to be here with you tonight to cover the Nicholas Anzalone guilty plea, along with another story that's intertwined. Now, before we go into the news, if everyone could please do me a favor, please like the video, share the video, comment on the video. Actually, write in the chat where you are watching from. I love to see and love to read where people are watching from, whether you're from upstate New York and you're in the belly of the beast, whether you're from another different country, Australia, London. Let me know where you're watching from. I would greatly appreciate it. And also your interaction in the chat helps with the algorithm. So it's a pleasure to be here tonight. A couple of stories that I'm going over. Obviously, the Nicholas Anzalone guilty plea. Several days ago, I did a video exclusively on the Anthony Farina guilty plea and what was missing. Today, we're going over Nicholas Anzalone, another correction officer at Marcy Correctional Facility, who's going to be sentenced to 22 years in prison. As with all of these correction officers, I've heard these ridiculous arguments saying that, these were just a bunch of bad apples. These were individuals that are not representative of the correctional officer culture. And over time, we've come to learn that that's absolutely hogwash. The New York State Department of Corruption and Criminal Statistics has a culture of corruption, a culture of beatings, a culture of murders that have been unaccounted for. Robert Brooks, Messiah, and Antry are not the only ones who have been murdered in custody. There have been countless others, not countless. For another video, I'll produce some data on the number of incarcerated individuals who have died in custody under very suspicious circumstances. So another thing that I've heard is, again, the culture. There is no culture problem at New York State Department of Correction and Community Supervision. That's absolutely hogwash. We've seen multiple cases of groups of correction officers that have not only murdered and beaten individuals behind bars, they've also conspired and acted in concert to cover these crimes up. So before there was Robert Brooks, there was an individual named Adam Bauer. And part of today's story, before I go into the plea guilty hearing that occurred on Monday, we have to go over Adam Bauer. Adam Bauer's story ended with a settlement that occurred on the same day that on the same day that there was a guilty plea entered for Nicholas Anzalone. So I'm going to play for you a brief clip. It's about a minute long. This is a clip from a previous video that I did covering Adam Bauer. I think it's appropriate to show you this clip. It's a minute before I read a quick, press release from the attorneys representing Adam Bauer. So I'm going to pull this up now, and we'll watch.
Adam Bauer, a former inmate at Marcy Correctional Facility, was allegedly brutally assaulted by correction officers back in 2020. Unlike Robert Brooks, Adam survived the attack. Correction Officer Nicholas Angelone was one of the officers involved in Adam's alleged beatdown. Angelone was also seen on body camera, part of the squad that allegedly killed Robert Brooks. He can be seen pounding away on Brooks while he is handcuffed. Adam was left with horrific injuries still present till this day. This video is about Adam's survival, his civil rights lawsuit going to trial, and Katie Rosenfeld, the attorney who fights alongside her client.
Okay. So that was a video I did about 6-7 months ago, if I'm not mistaken. By the way, if you haven't noticed, there is a folder on my channel with all of the Robert Brooks videos and live streams that I've done since December of 2024. So if you're just becoming familiar with the Robert Brooks case and the atrocities occurring in the New York State Department of Corrections, go to that folder and watch the videos that I've done since December 2024 covering the Robert Brooks murder. So we see Adam Bauer, his injuries that resulted, and mind you, this occurred in February of 2020. February of 2020. It was nearly 5 years later that Nicholas Angelone is or will pay the price for the beatdowns and murders that he's been involved in. So 5 years later, you could imagine the number of incarcerated individuals who have been a victim of Nicholas Anzalone. There are other civil cases that have not been settled yet. And I wonder what will happen. Will the New York State Attorney General, Leticia James, settle those cases as well? Because we have multiple incarcerated individuals who have filed lawsuits. So what we will do next is go into I'll call it a press release from the law firm that represented Adam Bauer. Adam Bauer was represented by Emery, Selly, Brinkerhoff, Abday, Ward, and Mizell. This article references the law firm as ECBAWM. Okay, so we'll go into this article now and get an update on what happened in Adam Bauer's civil case. Let me pull that up. Okay, here we go. September 24, 2025, as reported by the New York Law Journal on Monday, September 22nd, 2025, ECBAWM client Adam Bauer reached a settlement with 4 correction officers represented by New York State Attorney General's office. If you don't know, the New York State Attorney General is Leticia James, who's known about these abuses for years. Not only has she known about it, the office of the New York State Attorney General has known about this for decades as well. Let's continue on with the article. Mr. Bauer's lawsuit filed in 2022 sought compensation for Mr. Bauer after he was severely injured in an unprovoked physical assault in 2020 by prison guards at Marcy Correctional Facility. ECBAWM attorney secured $375,000 to resolve Mr. Bauer's case. Do me a favor. If you believe $375,000 is a worthy settlement of what he endured, write 1 in the chat. If you believe that $375 is not enough to compensate Mr. Bauer, put 2 in the chat. So either put a 1 or a 2 in the chat and let me know whether you think this settlement was enough. Let's continue on. The lawsuit describes the lawsuit describes how Mr. Bauer was viciously beaten, one guard cutting his forehead open by smashing it with a clipboard, requiring more than 20 stitches. One of the officers in question, Nicholas Angelone, is now facing a second-degree murder charge for his alleged involvement in the fatal 2024 beating of Robert Brooks at Marcy Correctional Facility. One quick thing I wanted to bring up. To add an insult to injury, the theme that we find in these cases of incarcerated individuals being beaten and murdered is that they will say that the incarcerated individual, attacked the correction officer. They beat down the individual multiple times. In the case of Robert Brooks and Marcy Nantry, there were 3 beatings that occurred in each circumstance. And not only that, they state that the incarcerated individual attacked the correction officer. For those of you who don't recall, I covered Christopher Quiles, who was in in Mid-State Correctional Facility, who was viciously attacked by correction officers there, a couple of whom are involved in the Marcy Nantry murder. This is common for correction officers to state that the incarcerated individual attacked the correction officer, and that's part of the disciplinary paperwork and use of force paperwork that occurs. Let's continue on with the article. ECBAWM attorneys Catherine Rosenfeld, who, by the way, is representing other incarcerated individuals, and Eric Adams are proud to have represented Mr. Bauer in his quest for accountability following his traumatic beating. Read more about the case and settlement here. So they attached on their website a link where you can get the New York Times article. So this is Katie Rosenfeld, who indeed is an advocate and a warrior for those who have been brutalized by correction officers in custody. So kudos to her for securing the settlement, and we wish her luck in her other cases in which she's representing other incarcerated individuals. Katie Rosenfeld is also representing the family of Adam Lafferty. Let's not forget about that case. Adam Lafferty's alleged killer, his bunkie, was indicted on murder, but at the moment, no correction officers have been indicted or arrested for Adam Lafferty's murder. Okay? So what I want to do next is, because I believe I want you guys to see the plea hearing of Nicholas Anzalone. It's about 7 minutes long. One thing that people have been telling me is that with these court hearings, it's very hard to hear and the audio is low. So I made an attempt to boost up the audio so that you'll be able to hear it a little bit clearer and louder. But I will caution you by saying, if you're wearing headphones, you may want to turn down your headphones and then turn them back up after the video begins playing, because it might be too loud. So just FYI. Okay? So I'm going to pull up the video now. And this is Nicholas Anzalone's arraignment. I'm sorry, not arraignment. I'm tired. Pardon me. This is his guilty plea hearing. He's going to be sentenced on, I believe it's November 21st, 2025. The judge says this at the end of his hearing. So I'm going to pull up this video, and I am not going to be giving any commentary for this video. I'm just going to let this play so you can hear it. Similar to Anthony Farina, Nicholas Anzalone does not have to make any more admissions. You saw Christopher Walrath have a series of questions that were posed by Special Prosecutor Bill Fitzpatrick. Nicholas Anzalone is not asked any additional questions besides the generic manslaughter questions brought about by Judge Bauer. So here is the video of Nicholas Anzalone pleading guilty in court. And I'll come on at the end. I'm not going to be giving you any commentary on this.
This is the matter of the people against Nicholas Anzalone, indicted 25-035. This matter is on for a final pretrial conference today, with the defendant's jury trial scheduled to begin 2 weeks from today. It is my understanding, however, that the parties may now have arrived at an agreed-upon disposition, and I'll state my understanding of that proposal. That the defendant will be pleading guilty to count 2 of the indictment, charging the felony offense of manslaughter in the first degree, and the agreed-upon sentence would then be 22 years in state prison, along with 5 years post-release supervision, a waiver of appeal, and mandatory state surcharges that would satisfy the remaining counts contained in the indictment. Is that the people's understanding?
It is, Your Honor.
Mrs. Franco, that's your understanding? Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Anzalone, is that your understanding of the proposal, and is that what you want to do here today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please raise your right hand. You now swear you will tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may put your hand down. So, Mr. Anzalone, I'm going to ask you some questions now. These are to help me decide if I can accept your plea. If at any time you do not hear a question, you do not understand, or you need a moment to stop and speak further with your attorney, you have to let me know that, okay?
Yes, sir.
Do You understand, by answering my questions and pleading guilty here this morning, you're giving up your right to remain silent and to not incriminate yourself.
Yes, sir.
Have you spoken with your attorney about your case, about pleading guilty and thereby waiving your right to have a trial?
Yes, sir.
Are you satisfied with the services of your attorney?
Yes, sir.
Have you had enough time to speak with your attorney about your case?
Yes, sir.
The charge you are to plead guilty to pursuant to this agreement is count 2 of the indictment, charging a felony offense, manslaughter in the first degree, which is in violation of Penal Law Section 125.20, Subdivision 1 and 20.00. It is alleged here that on or about the 9th day of December 2024, the town of Marcy, County of Oneida, acting in concert with each other, your fellow corrections officers, co-defendants named in this indictment, intended to cause serious physical injury to another person. You did cause the death of that person. Specifically, it's alleged here that each of you defendants participated in the multiple beatings of incarcerated individual Robert Brooks, which resulted in his death. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Fitzpatrick, did you want anything further?
I'm satisfied by the allocution, Your Honor.
Mr. Anzalone, how then do you plead to that second count, manslaughter in the first degree, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, Your Honor.
How old are you now, sir?
44.
Can you read and write the English language?
Yes.
Are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any physical or mental problems that could prevent you from understanding what you're doing here today?
No, Your Honor.
Did you take any kind of drugs, medicine, or alcohol before coming to court that could affect your understanding?
I just take diabetes. Yes.
Okay. Does that in any way affect your understanding? Are you clear-headed as you stand before me today?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're not currently on probation or parole, correct? Now, by pleading guilty, you are giving up your right to have a jury trial. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
At a jury trial, you would be presumed innocent and you would be entitled to the following rights: to be represented by your attorney, to confront and cross-examine witnesses presented by the government. You'd have the right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself. You would have the right, but not be required, to call witnesses, or you could testify on your own behalf. You would also have the right to require the government to prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt to a jury of 12 people who would have to be unanimous in finding you guilty. You understand, you have each of these rights, and by pleading guilty here today, you're giving up each of these rights.
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand, by pleading guilty, you're also giving up any defense you might have to these charges.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, pleading guilty is the same as a verdict of guilty, rendered by a jury after a trial. We understand that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Other than the plea and sentence agreement I spoke of earlier, has anyone made any other promises to get you to plead guilty?
No, Your Honor.
Did anyone threaten you or force you to plead guilty?
No, Your Honor.
Have you entered this plea today voluntarily and of your own choice?
Yes, Your Honor.
While you're incarcerated for this felony conviction, you will not be eligible to vote in an election until such time as you are released. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Lastly, sir, part of a negotiated plea does require that you waive your right to appeal. As a defendant in this court, if convicted, you have a separate and distinct right to appeal a judgment of conviction to a higher court in Rochester known as the Appellate Division. There you can, with your attorney, and a free one if you cannot afford it. You can file a brief and argue before that court that there exists some problem with your conviction here in this court. That is a right you have. It's also a right you can waive or give up, and it is being required that you waive your right to appeal. On condition, I give you the sentence promised to you. That means your conviction and sentence in this court will likely be final. So there's then little you can do to go back after the fact and try and change that. And you will have thereby significantly limited your options for appeal in the future. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you spoken with your attorney about waiving your right to appeal?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you then agree to waive your right to appeal on condition I give you the sentence promised?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you doing so voluntarily?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm holding up for you a document entitled Waiver of Right to Appeal. Halfway down the page, I see the signature, Nicholas Anzalone. Did you sign this document here after reviewing it with your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
Based upon the defendant's statements and his demeanor here in court, I find the knowing voluntary plea with a factual basis. I will direct the clerk to enter the plea into the minutes of this court, and we will adjourn the sentence until
November 21st.
November 21st at 9:30 a.m. for sentencing. Does Mr. Anzalone wish to remain out? Yes, Your Honor. All right, Mr. Anzalone, you did post a significant $250,000 bond with this court, so I'm going to allow you to remain out pending sentence on that basis. However, I'm attaching 3 conditions as part of our plea agreement. Condition 1 is you have to meet and cooperate with probation as they prepare your pre-sentence report. Condition 2, you have to come back here to court on any date you are required to be here. As of right now, you know that's November 21st at 9:30 in the morning you'll be sentenced. The third condition is you must commit no new offense. There are to be no new arrests of any kind between now and the time of your sentencing. Added to that, there's to be no contact with any of the witnesses in this case. There's to be no interference of any kind with your co-defendants or with witnesses as this matter continues on to trial. Do you understand each of those conditions?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you fail to abide by one or more of those conditions, then I would not be bound by the sentence agreement. I would not permit you to withdraw your plea, and I would then be authorized to sentence you to any term our law permits, up to and including the maximum term in state prison. Is that understood?
Yes, Your Honor.
You speak with probation on your way out this morning. I'll see you back here November 21st.
Judge, again, to the extent that Your Honor requires an order of the court for us to participate in the probation and departure proceedings, we'd like that order of the court if necessary.
For you as counsel to participate?
Correct.
You're welcome to do so.
Great. Thank you, Judge.
So that was the guilty plea hearing that we saw for Nicholas Anzalone. So tell me, is 22 years enough time for Nicholas Anzalone? Yes or no? Put yes in the chat or put no. 22 years for murder caught on camera. When somebody blesses the channel, I like to acknowledge them immediately. So I want to give a special thanks to Gloria Fritz with her generous donation. Thank you, Gloria, immensely. It really helps. Thank you for your support, for supporting the channel. And Gloria Fritz is the stream sponsor. So Gloria, again, thank you immensely for your support. Again, I put the link in the chat for anybody who wants to come on and chit chat with me. I do see somebody is in the back studio, but they have not shared their camera yet, or their camera or microphone. So if you do want to come on, you'll have to share your microphone and camera. So I'm going to give you another minute to come on, to be able to come on and show your face and your microphone. If not, I'm going to end the stream. But if anybody else wants to come on, I'm going to drop the link again in the chat. If anybody wants to come on and, let me know how you feel about the Nicholas Anzalone guilty plea. Is 22 years enough? Should he be doing more time? Do you believe that Adam Bauer received significant financial compensation for his beating that occurred in February of 2020? From what I'm reading, most of you don't believe so. We have Written Dreams who says not enough. So let me see what else other people have to say about that. On a separate note, we have a Cheryl Bordes who says, I live in Oneida County and I am very familiar with Bill Fitzpatrick. Yeah, Special Prosecutor Bill Fitzpatrick. I've been very critical of Bill Fitzpatrick. I will say I do appreciate these guilty pleas. I do believe some of them got off way too easy. But I'm happy to see Anthony Farina get 22 years along with Nicholas Anzalone. So again, there is somebody in the studio. They have not turned on their camera or their microphone. I'm going to assume you don't want to come on. You're having second thoughts, and that's fine. No harm, no foul. So again, I want to give a special thank you to Gloria Fritz, who is the stream sponsor. Thank you, Gloria, for your generous donation. I appreciate it immensely. Thank you. With that being said, I'm going to begin to shut down the live stream unless somebody comes on at the last minute. So I'm going to cover all of the case, the defendants in the Messiah Nantry case. This will be covered until we have this to completion. So all of the defendants have entered pleas or their trials have completed and they've been sentenced. So as I say in all of my videos, thank you immensely for being here. Thank you, Gloria Fritz, for being the stream sponsor. And my goal is to go deeper than what the mainstream media is telling and showing you. Everyone, take care. God bless, and I will see you next time.